Okay, welcome to the build video for the T-Rex 450 Pro. This is going to be somewhat unusual for a build video in that one of the first things you have to do with the 450 Pro is actually install the electronics. So here I have a DS410M digital servo, and these actually fit into the frames. You get one, a pair go up the front here like so, and there's one that goes in the back here, so it has to be inserted in sort of in there like that, but it actually comes in from that side. Now the reason that we start off with installing servos is that if we were to build the frames up without the servos in it, then we would just have to take the machine apart in order to put the servos in. You literally cannot get these things in and put the horns on them and all that stuff, because you just can't get at them once they're installed in them. Once it's all installed in the machine, you can't get at the servo horns, you can't get at the screws. So you've got to set your servo centers, put the horns on the servos, install them into these metal parts outside of the frame, and then slide that down into the frame and bolt it into place. And once you've done that, then you can build the rest of the model with the servos installed and the servo horns already in place. So pretty unusual really to start a build video with installing servos, but that's just the way it is with the 450 Pro. That's job number one, so we need to get on and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uninstall these mainframe blocks and install the servos into them, center my servos up, install the horns onto them, and then at that point we can put that back into the frames and get on with the rest of the build. Okay, so what I've done here is I've uninstalled the main shaft bearing blocks from the frames. We've got the screws here that are used to mount one of the servos. If I just grab over here one of the servos, okay, here we go. Here's one of the servos, DS410, and we need to install these onto the front of the bearing block. So you can see here there's screw holes on the front of the bearing block, and that goes basically onto the servo like so. That one at the bottom, and then this one at the top, and then another one the other side here, and then the third servo goes at the back in there like that. So I'll go ahead and put these together, because I think it's going to be much easier to visualise once the servos are in, and you can have a look and see what it looks like. Okay, so here we have the servos installed into the main shaft bearing blocks, and you can see the two front servos here with the splines to the top, and then the rear servo for the elevator again with the spline towards the top. And that gets installed into the main frames. I just grab those over, and you can basically see it sits down in the main frames like that. There we go, like so. So, but before we actually install that back into the main frames, we've got to put all of the servo horns on and center them, because you just can't get at the screws for the servo horns with this installed in the machine. So the next thing to do is to connect this all up, take this out, connect it up to your receiver, and install the servo horns and get all of your servo horns nicely centered and working, from center to full throw full collective and full throw for negative pitch. And then once you've done that, then you can install that into the machine and get on with the rest of the build. So I'll put the servo horn arms on now. Okay, so here we have the servos with the horns now installed. You notice you have the balls on the upper side of the servo horns on the front servos, and the ball is on the underside on the rear servo. Obviously Loctite all the screws for putting the servos into place, and also remember to Loctite the centre servo screw here. Make sure you Loctite that as well, otherwise that can come undone and you can lose a servo horn. And again, Loctite on the little nuts which are on the ball links holding them onto the horn. So that's the completed servo module for the cyclic servos. That can now be installed back into the main frames and we can get on with the rest of the build. Okay, so there we have the main shaft block and servos installed back into the main frames, and we can now install our rotor head and main shaft and main gear into the main frames and secure that in place.